My dad deserves this honor not only for his achievements in golf, but for his achievements outside of the game. I am very proud to induct into the World Golf Hall of Fame my dad, Padraig Harrington.
Thank you, Paddy. Very kind words indeed. I'm extremely grateful to receive this honour tonight and exceptionally fortunate in life to be here. I have to say, I'm also humbled and privileged to share it this night with your fellow inductees. I have a new role model, Sandra Palmer. I want to be like Sandra when I'm 80 years of age. I also have a Paddy's golf tips. You should all swing it like Johnny Farrell. Very impressive, and I do like to say that us Irish will get everywhere. Oh, we're going a bit fast on my thing. I will go off track. Emotionally, it brings me deep sense of satisfaction and validation to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. As a player, you get inducted into the Hall of Fame based on your golf results. So yes, I won 3 majors, numerous events around the world. I played 6 Ryder Cups. And that's what gets you in the Hall of Fame. But there is a story behind it. So what's my story? Firstly, I'm not sure whether I loved the game or the game loved me, because it was truly great to me. I love the fact that it was never meant to be a fair game. It was always meant to be a test of skill and mental fortitude. I love the rules. I love the etiquette. I love the competition. Probably ultimately, I love the meritocracy of it. That you're out there on your own, nobody else decides your fate, and it's up to you to get it done. During your life, you receive a lot of accolades when you're doing well. But when you're playing, you kind of brush over them, thinking that there's always going to be more wins and honours. But at this stage of my life, I realise it's time to take stock. Entering the Hall of Fame gives me time to reflect on my past victories, and more importantly, share them with my family and friends, many of whom are here tonight. One of the stereotypes of my golfing life would be that I'm known for changing. Interestingly though, there's been a lot of constants in my career. I've been with the same manager, Adrian Mitchell, financial advisor, Philip Barker, and PA, Gilly Alcock, for close to 30 years. Adrian is a scratch golfer, and believe it or not, he might be more obsessed with the game than me. I've been with Wilson Golf for 26 years, thanks to Doug, Ron, and Tim, who are all here tonight. I've had the same caddy for over 20 years, Ronan Flood. He succeeded Dave McNeely, who got replaced for working too hard. It could only happen to Dave McNeely. All are here tonight. People often ask if caddies really make a difference, and categorically I can say Ronan won me the 2007 Open Championship. On the 72nd hole, after I hit my 2nd ball in the water, it was the first and only time I've ever been on the golf course where I felt embarrassed, where I wanted to give up. I really thought I'd thrown away the Open. However, Ronan stuck to his guns and started into the cliches. It's not over yet, 1 shot at a time, and so on. I think he took the 4-iron off me pretty quickly, because I'm not sure if I wouldn't have a swing at him with it. But we kept walking, he kept doing his job, and he got in my head. As I walked up to take my penalty drop, and by the time I played my 5th shot, I hit it like a teenager. I was right back in the zone. I told this story for months afterwards about how my caddy didn't give up on me and how he believed. It took about 3 months, I think, before he was in the room and heard me tell the story, and he let me tell it, and he stood up at the end, acknowledged that while he said all those things, he also thought I'd lost the feckin' Open. And I did quieten that down for TV. It was a little stronger language, actually. There are other constants in my career which I come back to later, but let's go back to where it all started. I believe that life is very circumstantial, particularly when it comes to sports people. For starters, my family shaped who I am. I'm the youngest of 5 boys, and all my brothers took jobs as teenagers. But as the youngest, I didn't have to, and I got all the opportunities. My father was a policeman and helped build and develop a golf course, Stackstown Golf Club. It was close to my home, and I can remember spending all my early years hanging out there as it became my playground. I looked for golf balls, I chased rabbits. I played golf from a young age. At that time, it was just another adventure. I can remember help levelling the 12th green. It was all hands on deck when it came to building the golf course. My unfortunate older brothers had to do more manual labour, like picking stones out of the quarries, whilst I only had to level the sand on the 12th green. By the way, the 12th green is a green cursed by many, as it's one of the severest slopes on the golf course. My dad, as a top-class sportsman himself, was a huge influence on me. The irony was that before I was born, he was a prodigious hitter of the golf ball, but wild off the tee, and then decided to curtail it by hitting it short and straight. Wow, it was a different game back then. One piece of advice I would give to everybody that happened by chance with my dad. When I went on tour, I used to ring him after every round and give him a rundown of every shot I hit. I didn't realise until he passed away in 2005 that that was more for me than him. I would recommend that if you can find someone to listen to your unconditional stories at the end of any day for 5 or 10 minutes, just like my wife does now, it will help reduce the stresses of life. My mum was tougher and more competitive, and actually winning the All-Ireland Mother and Son tournament as my last amateur event was one of my 2 joys of my golfing career. I have to say sorry to one person in the room, Brett Desmond, who's in the audience, who was runner-up with his mum, and I don't think he's got it done yet. My 4 older brothers may have been an even bigger influence. I was lucky to have Fergal, who's 20 months older than me. He became a great role model within touching distance, who I competed with and tried to beat at everything. As I got a little bit older, barely in my teens, I was playing with my elder brothers. Tig, an incredibly tenacious golfer with an unbelievable ability to win at anything, and Cullum, who was a smart competitor and could get it done using his head, usually by getting in my head. Interestingly, my middle brother, Fintan, had the best swing in the house, but no interest in the game. I've been with my wife, Caroline, for 34 years. She's probably more into sport than I am, so that helps for sure. But we nearly didn't get past 5 months. In my first championship tournament that she came to, I was in the last group, and it was a big day of golf, but I blew up. I went in to sign my card and sulked in the locker room for 20 minutes. When I came out to find my girlfriend, she had gone. I learned the lesson very quickly. She point-blankly was not putting up with any sulking. Another story that sums up my wife's support took place after we got married and we bought our first apartment, which wasn't clean to my wife's standards. After we spent 2 days cleaning it, we came to the mutual decision that my time would be better spent practicing rather than cleaning. Whilst I was very happy with that and thrilled with the support of my wife, as I was writing this, I came to realise that maybe I just wasn't very good at cleaning. You heard from Paddy earlier, and his brother Kieran is also here tonight. I can't thank them enough for their unwavering support. They keep me grounded as I am dad to them. I think their favourite moment was actually the 2016 Olympics. When we were trying to leave one day through the exit, the athlete's exit, the security guard, and there was a little bit of a language issue, was suspicious. How could I be an athlete? Eventually, we had to convince him that I was the coach and that my oldest son was the athlete. To this day, they continually rib me about that I'm the coach and not the athlete. Speaking of coaches, I started with my first coach at 15 years of age. I had a few lessons with Waddy Sullivan at home, but Howard Bennett, who was the national coach, became my first full-time coach. I'm delighted to say that Howard has travelled from England to be here tonight at 87 years of age. As most of the fellow inductees here tonight will tell you, it's so lucky to get a great coach to start off with, and he truly nurtured my strengths. I think at this stage, I assumed my golfing career was always going to be as an amateur, continuing under the fantastic programmes of the Golf Ireland and the RNA. Why else would I have studied accountancy for 4 years at night? Eventually, when I did decide to turn pro, I didn't know what to expect. I was dominating as an amateur, but wasn't all that sure about the pro game. Little did I know it would go so well. I always had an insatiable desire to get better, and being out on tour was like being a kid in a candy shop. After 2 successful years on the European tour, I instigated 3 significant changes. I started working with Bob Rotella after reading his book, Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. The brilliance of Bob is that he gives you responsibility. It's up to you to do the work. Bob and his wife, Darlene, are here tonight. I felt also I was at my technical limit with ball striking, which is when I started working with Bob Torrance. We were a match made in heaven. I had the short game, the mentality and the work ethic, and Bob was happy to spend all day on the range with me, and we did spend all day on the range. Bob was a fabulous person to be around, full of great quotes and pearls of wisdoms. Some of my favourites were one sip of the medicine at a time, and never weaken your strengths to strengthen your weaknesses. He was so far ahead of his time, even without the technology of today. I also started working with Dr. Liam Hennessy, my trainer, mentor and dear friend, and made some big physical changes. We nicknamed him Dr. Frankenstein because we tried about every iteration of training long before it became trendy on Instagram. By the way, if he's Frankenstein, that means I'm the monster. Liam is here tonight as well. There are many others who have been important to my career who are also here tonight. My swing coach, Pete Cowan. Sorry, Pete, you can't believe how much you're like Bob Torrance, a great person to be around with an unbelievable love and knowledge of the game. Michael Jacobs, another coach at the cutting edge of golf swing science, and my old sparring partner, Noel Fox, who looks after my day-to-day coaching as I continue, believe it or not, to dream to get better. Paul Hurrian, who's worked with my putting for 20 years, and Brian Moore on my physiology side. Physiology, that's your kind of, I suppose, your kind of health and fitness as you get ready to play tournaments. He's spent his life trying to tell me to hit less golf balls. Now, that's a hard job. On the playing side, Jody Flanagan, my long-suffering amateur foursomes partner, and Paul McGinley, my pro partner, who has always been there as a great friend and mentor. I can't believe how many arguments I have, well, discussions I have with Paul McGinley. As a mentor, I hope I am there for the young Irish pros who have come after me, like Shane Lowry, but of course he's not so young anymore. Again, they're here tonight. I believe my mum and dad would be most proud of me doing the right thing in golf, getting it done the right way. It wasn't always about results. They certainly enjoyed how I played, but I think I was only ever really going to be judged on my attitude and how I handled myself around the game. I am now trying to pass on what I've learned to amateurs through my Paddy's Golf Tips, and to encourage people to try golf initiatives such as developing a free-to-use putting green at Park in Ireland, with hopefully more to come. As you can see with my story, everything is possible, and I think this has resonated as we went through the night, especially with Steph Curry. Everything is possible if you're given the opportunity, and I was given the opportunity. I'm grateful for all my friends I'm grateful for all my friends I've made, and to everyone who has made this possible. I hope to live up to their high standards and those of the World Golf Hall of Fame. There are so many people here. As I sit here tonight, I look at the former members of the Hall of Fame. There's many who I looked up to before I turned pro, and some who I've competed against. And I really do. It is such an honour to be considered to be in the same group with them. and especially out there in the Champions Tour when you're playing with so many of them. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with these words from Bob Torrance, which I appreciate more and more as I get older. Every day as I left the practice ground to go to the first tee, he would say, "These are the happiest days of our lives." Thank you.